What if I told you? God does not just use fire. God dwells in fire. Fire is not something outside of him. It is his habitation. An eternal habitation. A realm of unapproachable purity, holiness, light, and power. This is not poetry. This is not symbolism. This is the nature of God revealed. The Bible says in Hebrews 12 verse 29, "For our God is a consuming fire." This is not a description of what God does. It is a revelation of who He is. God is fire. A fire that burns with fervent heat. A fire that releases unconquerable power. A fire that purifies completely and consumes entirely. In its deeper meaning, this reveals that God tolerates no impurity. Nothing unclean can stand before Him, because fire, by its very nature, does not allow corruption to remain. It either refines or it destroys. This is why God is incorruptible, because He dwells in fire. Fire surrounds Him. Fire defines Him. Fire preserves Him. Nothing can contaminate Him, because fire eliminates every trace of impurity before it can even exist. The Bible says in 1 John 1 verse 5, "God is light, and in Him is no darkness at all." This confirms the same truth. God is absolute purity. No darkness. No shadow. No mixture. And in Psalm 104 verse 2, He covers Himself with light like a garment. Light is not something He reflects. It is what He is clothed in. It flows from Him. It surrounds Him. It defines His presence. And in James 1 verse 17, He is called the Father of lights, the source of all goodness, all illumination, all consistency, everything pure, everything righteous, everything true, comes from Him. Jesus said in John 8 verse 12, "I am the light of the world." This is God stepping out of unapproachable fire to become visible to humanity, because in His raw habitation, He dwells in fire, and nothing unclean can approach that realm. So God, in His mercy, revealed Himself through Christ, so that humanity can approach Him without being consumed. The Bible says in Zechariah 2 verse 5, "I will be a wall of fire around it, and the glory W. I will be a wall of fire around it, and the glory within." God surrounds His people with fire. This fire is not decorative. It is protective. It is purifying. It is separating. It keeps holiness intact. In Daniel 7 verse 9, His throne is described as a fiery flame. Even His government is established in fire. This means everything about God operates through fire. Where God is, there is fire. And where there is fire, nothing corrupt survives. This is why God's habitation is unapproachable, because anything that comes near Him must be completely refined. No mixture, no compromise, no impurity. Now understand this carefully. If God dwells in fire, then the pathway to becoming like Him is to remain in fire. Staying on fire is not just passion. It is alignment with God's nature, because fire is the environment of God. And if you want to carry God, you must carry fire. The level of fire you carry determines the level of God you manifest. If there is no fire in your spirit, you cannot represent Him. You cannot carry His image. You cannot walk in His calling, because everything that comes from God is sustained by fire. Every gift, every calling, every grace is activated, empowered, and sustained by fire. Without fire, everything becomes dormant, inactive, powerless. The gift is still there, but it is not functioning. This is why many believers have gifts, but no manifestation, because fire is missing. God does not just give gifts. He gives fire to sustain them. Fire is the energy of the Spirit. Fire is the force that keeps divine things alive. The Bible says in Acts 2 verse 3, "They saw tongues of fire, and it rested on each of them." This was the release of divine fire into human vessels. And instantly, everything changed. Fear disappeared. Boldness emerged. Power was activated, because fire entered them. Without fire, Christianity becomes religion, routine, empty, powerless. But with fire, it becomes life. It becomes reality. It becomes something that transforms everything it touches. Fire purifies. Fire energizes. Fire sustains. It burns away impurities and ignites divine potential. That is why every gift from God requires fire. The Bible says in Leviticus 6 verses 12 to 13, "The fire must be kept burning, it must not go out." This is not a suggestion. This is a command. The fire must not go out. Because when the fire goes out, the altar loses its purpose. In the same way, when your fire goes out, your spiritual life becomes inactive. The enemy cannot remove your gifts, but he can quench your fire. And once the fire is gone, everything becomes powerless. That is why some people still operate in gifts, but without purity, because fire is no longer sustaining them. Without fire, gifts can be driven by pride, by insecurity, by desire for recognition. But with fire, everything remains pure. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 3 verse 13, "The fire will test the quality of each person's work." Fire reveals truth. It exposes what is real and destroys what is false. Nothing escapes fire. The Bible says in Psalms 104 verse 4, "He makes his ministers a flaming fire." This means those who serve God must carry his nature, and his nature is fire. You cannot represent fire without becoming fire. Just as fish need water, and humans need oxygen, God's gifts need fire to survive. Fire is their natural environment. Without fire, they suffocate. They become inactive. And eventually, they become corrupted. That is why you must constantly maintain your fire. You must feed it, protect it, increase it, because your fire determines your capacity. The greater your fire, the greater the measure of God you can carry. God does not pour himself into cold vessels. He fills vessels that are burning. Sometimes, God will take you through fire, not to destroy you, but to refine you. Just like a potter melts material to reshape it, God uses fire to remold your life. He may strip away what you built. He may remove what you trusted. But it is all part of the process. Because before remolding, there must be melting. Even Jesus withdrew into solitude to pray, as seen in Luke 5 verse 16. Why? To remain connected, to remain aligned, to remain filled. Because fire is sustained in the secret place, not in noise, not in performance, but in intimacy. Moses encountered fire in Exodus 3:2, and it launched his destiny. Elijah called down fire in 1 Kings 18:38, and proved God's supremacy. The apostles received fire in Acts 2:3-4, and transformed the world. Paul encountered divine light in Acts 9:3-6, and became a vessel of eternal impact. Every encounter with God is an encounter with fire. Fire changes everything. It changes how you think. It changes how you speak. It changes how you live. It gives you a new perspective, a heavenly mindset, where earthly things lose their value, and divine purpose becomes everything. Fire creates a different kind of person, a person who is no longer controlled by the flesh, but led by the Spirit. God is preparing a people who will carry His fire, a people who will be purified, empowered, and fully inhabited by Him. This will not happen through comfort. It will happen through fire. So do not resist the fire. Do not run from it. Do not avoid it. Yield to it. Because fire is not your enemy. It is your transformation. God is a consuming fire. And the closer you get to Him, the more you must burn.